Hey there, bestie. I'm Loriemi, your What to Read Next podcast host. Join me as we dive into exciting new reads that'll have you reaching for your TBR pile in no time. From group and mysteries to spicy romances, we'll explore it all and help you find your next favorite book. So grab a cup of tea, cozy it up, and let's discover some amazing reads together. Hi, Penelope. Welcome to What to Read Next podcast.
Hello. So happy to be here.
So happy to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Penelope. I live in the Midwest with my husband, my kids, and my little fluffy shadow, as my readers refer to him. He's a mini Australian Labradoodle, and he's basically my best friend in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And he keeps me company while I write every day or when I'm outside in my backyard reading. He's on my lap. Usually he's literally next to me all the time. So that's me in a nutshell. That's the elevator pitch, right?
That's a good elevator pitch. So when did you start writing?
So I started writing back in 2020. Like that. Well, that's when I first published.
Yeah.
I was on the back end of the community. I'm doing some editing and stuff. I have a background in journalism and editing. So I actually came to the community by way of editing, and then kind of took a really big leap there at the gentle guidance and push of a few close friends, and just kind of dove in head first and published my first book, and then kept doing it.
Yeah.
I think I'll just keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I love it. And it's great. So let's talk about the Broken Pact, which is small town fake dating romance. But it's a little bit like rough around the edges. Like it's not just your typical Hallmark movie. There's a little bit of bad guy. It's a little bit of there's reasons why we're fake dating. So.
Right. Yeah. So this is actually I like to call it romantic suspense, or as I often refer to as like cozy romantic suspense, because it has a lot of those like small intimate details that you would expect from like a tradition or not a traditional, but not a romantic suspense, like a small town. Like you fall in love with this trio of older gals who like to wear coordinating neon wind jackets and stuff like that. And so it is definitely more suspenseful than just a regular small town romance. But I wouldn't call it like just a straight suspense. I like to think of it as like a really good blend of the two, which is pretty much all of my books, really.
Yeah, which is kind of like a nice little like it's perfect for fall. Because you get a little bit just edgier than just your cozy small town. Everyone's happy, kind of like there's a little bit of angst here. So
Yeah. Lots of angst. I like it with angst. I think sometimes the word angst gets a bad rap. Like, I think sometimes people hear the word angst and they think, oh, I don't want to do that. But it's really kind of what gives it a little bit more character, in my opinion. Or it may be a better way of putting it is like makes it have those rough edges.
Yeah.
So it's not that cookie cutter shape, which I personally enjoy. I mean, listen, I know you've talked to a ton of authors. I'm sure everyone says the same thing. Like you get them happy and then you're like, how can I make these characters miserable before they're ultimately happy again?
Yeah.
So that angst just kind of helps sweeten that pot, I think.
Yes. It makes it like at the end of result to be like, oh, it's worth it for the journey. So Broken Pact is book one of a small town series. So talk to us about what to expect from this series. What can we go from here? And yeah.
Yeah, so it's the first book in Avalon Falls. It is a series that so far has tentatively been planned for 4 books following 4 siblings. So you just very briefly meet the siblings in book 1, and then books 2, 3, and 4 follow them. It doesn't take place all at the same time. So you can pick them up at any point and you'll see like little cameos, little sprinkles. They do have a pretty tight knit family. So you will see that family dynamic in every single book. But by the time you hit book 4, you'll already kind of see the couples from books 1 through 3 in there. It's just the way my brain works. I cannot possibly, like, hats off to those authors who are like, I'm going to write 4 books and 4 different couples. It's all going to take place over the same year or whatever it is. I just can't keep it straight. I have too much happening in mine, maybe, or in my brain, I should say.
Yeah.
So you can expect them all to be small town, all of that cozy romantic suspense. Some of them might be a little grittier or go a little more darker themed. I will say Broken Pact does have a little dark themes, not like my backlist, but definitely like some definite darker themes. It's not the main focus point, I should say, of the book, but I just like it a little rougher, I guess, like rougher on the edges, like we keep mentioning. So
let's start with your backlist. Like now that we have Broken Pact, because we only have one book right now, we have more to come. What should they go back to? Listeners should go back to for your backlist to pick up. Where they should get started?
So I think it depends where you come in. So if you've read and loved Broken Pact and you're like, okay, what else can I get my hands on? I would suggest you start with my Rosewood series, which is my most recent completed series, because it's a spinoff. So the Rosewood trilogy starts with Moonlit Temptation, and you meet Evangeline and Coraline are cousins. So Coraline is the FMC from Broken Pact. So you do see our main characters from Broken Pact in the Rosewood trilogy. It is an MC romance. It's definitely got darker themes than Broken Pact. It's small town. It's angsty. It's why choose. It's a really good time. So that's where I would recommend to start if you read Broken Pact. If you're just like, I don't know where to start, you can definitely dive into Rosewood. Or if you're feeling like you want to go a little bit darker, most of my backlist, it leans Mafia. I like to think of it as like Mafia Light because it doesn't get the sort of pitch black colors that we sort of grade on, but it definitely is morally gray, leaning toward those darker colors. And it's why choose. They're trilogies. We have a couple standalone or duets, and they're all in a connected world. So if you're a big fan of cameos or like seeing your favorite characters from other books or series, I think you'll really enjoy really any of my books, but definitely because they're all in a shared world together. Even my Rosewood series, which is then Avalon Falls too, you see these characters from earlier books, which is kind of like little Easter eggs.
I love this. NMC is Motorcycle Club, correct?
Yes. Sorry. Motorcycle Club.
It's so good. It is so good because some text listeners are like, what is NC? Is it a main character? I was like, no, it's Motorcycle Club.
Yeah. And to be clear, like it's Motorcycle Club Light again. Like it's not the same as those like really, I love those like super gritty, like true to what we think of like motorcycle, like and like an homage to like Sons of Anarchy. Like I'm all for that. Rosewood is just not that far. These guys are like used to be 1%ers on the straight and narrow now, but like definitely crossed that line again for her, which we all love. Like to be honest.
I love this. And so let's chat some book recommendations. Talk to us about some books that you read recently or you enjoy that you want to recommend our listeners to pick up after going through your backlist and trying different things. Do you have some good recommendations to share?
Yeah. So I love reading. Who doesn't, right? I tend to like binge read when I release a book because I'm like in between projects. So I have this sort of window where I just go crazy pants and just read everything that I've been wanting to read. So I just picked out actually a book I just started since we last talked about from Tessa Hale. It's, I guess, a dragon trilogy. I'm my PA, who is wonderful and amazing, has been like shoving this in my ear for a while. And I just texted her, like, this is so good. You should make me read your recommendations more often. But I'm a romantasy girly. I always have been. The last book before that I read that I devoured was Quicksilver, which I highly recommend. I don't know how many books. It's definitely like a book one in a romantasy. But it was just a really great immersive read. So I highly recommend that if you enjoy fantasy. The other book that I have not been able to stop thinking about is a book by Stacey Hart. It's called Wild Card. It is hilarious, so steamy, so angsty, like just a delicious, like it's just so good. It's a little touch of sports, but not in a traditional way. It's kind of small town. It's a really good time. So those would probably be my top recs. If you're looking for fake dating and you read Broken Pact and you're like, give me more fake dating, I have to recommend Weak Side by Esther Silvis, which is like hockey, new adult fake dating. Just devoured that one. Just gobbled it up.
These are great recommendations. And I have Quicksilver on my TBR. It's just like,
it's so good.
Getting into the romantic space, but I feel like fall is the right time to do it because you're like, it's cozy, you just want to read. It's great. So
yeah, I do think there are different like times a year that just you crave different types of books. I know it's weird, and I think it probably depends on where you live too. Like I live in Wisconsin, so I'm very much like we have 4 seasons. So, but I have close friends who are like, okay, I live in Florida, so this is just 100 or 80 degrees. Those are my seasons. So it's a little different, but
yeah, I live in summer year round. I used to live up north, so now I live in Florida. And so I get the summer. We get a colder season and the stuff, but it's getting cold. It's getting nice and cooler. So it's actually like feeling like fall. It's 78.
Isn't it 80?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say nice and cool at 80.
Yes, it is. I can go to my balcony and enjoy my weather.
Yeah, you know what? I love that. I'm up here going, oh my God, yay, it's still 80 here. Like we got 80 for a little longer.
Yeah, so it was all good. Penelope, tell us where you can find you online.
Oh, so I'm actually pretty much everywhere everyone else is. I'm most active on Instagram or in my Facebook group just because I can fall victim to doom scrolling like we all can. I will say though, I get some of my best book recs from like watching like random reels. I know this probably says more about me than anything, but like I will one click off of a 6-second reel off of like one teaser line faster than almost anything. I think me because I'm a mood reader too, but you can find me on Instagram probably too much. So like feel free to chat me up there. Or I always welcome readers to slide into my DMs when they're reading, especially like my backlist, which is a little, I would say, notorious in an affectionate way for cliffhangers. So that's always kind of fun for me to read messages as people are reading too.
I love this. Thank you, Penelope, for being on the show.
Of course.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of the What to Read Next podcast. If you enjoy our bookish conversations and want more recommendations, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, head on over to the What to Read Next blog for a list of books mentioned in today's show. Happy reading!